Hello and welcome to Motivational Missions Podcast. This is a very special day and I am really stoked and excited about what is happening today. It's a beautiful day. I have Scott Gottschalk here in the studio with us and he's going to tell us about why he's crazy, right? Because I happen to think he's nuts. He's out of his mind. And then he told me he wanted to meet someone who's just as crazy as him. And I said, okay. And he said, it's a girl who dared to do this. And I was like, I got to meet this girl. So in the studio, we have Dana Darcy also, who broke a record, a Guinness Book of World Records for 100,000 miles.
No.
80,000 miles.
82,598.
82,000 miles.
Yeah.
Man, these numbers you people rack up is like insane. 82,000 miles is what, 4 or 5 times around the earth.
The 100,000 mile is Chris Hopper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ah, your buddy,
guy,
your buddy.
yeah.
Y'all.
He's that guy.
Yeah. Everybody, all you crazies, like
He's
gathered
that,
together. Yeah. And
unfortunately, he couldn't come down here. So, yeah.
We'll catch up with him at one point or another, or we'll do another podcast and bring him up.
Yes.
Virtual. We can always do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you would really like that.
I'd love it.
Yeah, I know you. So anyway, for those of you that are wondering, Scott Gottschalk is writing 120-year anniversary Harley Davidson motorcycle for 120,000 miles, which is almost 5.5 times around the world, in 120 consecutive days. Scott, please tell us why you're doing this.
I have brain damage. No, I am doing this because I was very inspired when I literally saw Dana's record. I paid attention to what she had done and what she'd accomplished, and it really wasn't that long ago. And then shortly thereafter, Chris Hopper did his.
He did his in 21. I did mine in 22.
Oh, I thought.
So,
okay, so he
so
was
maybe
just
it was
before
his.
you.
Maybe it was his that you saw.
Okay, well, and
He did it, yeah.
So, the part of this is I've always been an Iron Butt Motorcycle Association member. I pay attention to that. I've always enjoyed Guinness Book of World Records, but I would have probably gone with the Iron Butt Motorcycle Association thing. And some people said, but Guinness, there's a lot of credibility to a Guinness record if you actually can do a Guinness record. And I thought, okay, well, and so I studied Chris's and I studied yours.
Right. Well, there's definitely credibility with the Iron Butt Association with their records.
Well, with their people, but I mean, more people know what Guinness is than
correct.
I mean, that
I didn't even know what Iron Butt Association was
Yeah.
until he started up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually kind of. I was only gonna. I don't want to use the word challenge Chris's record, but that is a noble record. I mean, 100,000 in 100 days and raised some serious money for a great cause.
Yes.
I mean, I did this, okay, and then actually some people down here in Miami said, well, you should check out the Guinness side, and I said, I don't know that I want to. I'm more of an Iron Butt kind of a guy, and it was only you long distance riders that do Iron Butt things have heard of Iron Butt. Everybody's heard of the Guinness, the Guinness records. I said, all right, well then let's check that out. And that's when I, learned of your record and I knew of Chris's record. And, again, it's logging unbelievable miles for unbelievable distances. And if you don't understand the zone we go into, I've got 2 adult sons and they can't fathom doing this.
Ooh, speaking about that, what did your family think when you were going to do this?
Well, I'd been talking about it for years. So I actually applied in 2019 to do it in 20 and then wasn't able to. So they knew about this. Yeah. It was people at work or other people that didn't know that I had even been thinking about this. As a matter of fact, people at work, it took them about 2 months to go, where's Dana? So it just lets you know your work will be okay if you are not there. Like one of my friends, she goes, people are just now, I think it was like 2 months, maybe 6 weeks, where people are like, where is Dana? Like, you know? So anyways.
Well, we have a concerned family, you know, and it's been part of the challenge, you know, for us. It's easy for me to say, yeah, I'm going to support you, Scott, you know, but Astrid, his wife, and his sons, Trevor and Travis, are, you know, they were like, this is insane and we don't want to jeopardize you like that. And especially, I mean, let's be realistic. The day he lands his 120,000 miles, he turned 70 years old. So, you know, he's not a spring chicken over here.
Hey.
Either am I. Yeah, right behind you, buddy. I'm right behind you. But yeah, so you know, it's a massive challenge. How did you prepare your body for this?
Oh my gosh, I should have gone over the questions before. No, I listened to my body. You know, if I was tired, I needed to sleep. If I was hungry, I drank whether I was thirsty or not, because we know how it is on the bike.
Yeah, that's a big key.
Yeah.
Hydration.
Yeah, he was giving us the breakdown when we were dropping off the motorcycle today, and he's like, every 2 hours I must relieve myself, and I must be drinking all the time. So he has a pack.
I got a hydration pack,
Yeah.
a camel pack.
Yeah.
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 A tank pack.
Is that what you did also? Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, relieving yourself is quite different than a man. So, like, you just had to hold on? Like,
Well, I went to the bathroom, but yeah.
I mean, you'd pull over and...
Well, I'd go to, you know, a swim-in. We want a decent... I've been on rides before where...
You got to go in the ditch.
Well, one of our friends, he kept stopping at crappy gas stations. And I said, Rob, like... Kathy and I, like, we want a nice restroom. And one time we pulled in this one gas station, and then I'm like, he's in the back, you know, peeing near the woods. That's how crappy the bathrooms are. And I go, stopping at these, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a different challenge for a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what about, like, you know, we're talking about iron butts and all that. I mean, did your tush really hurt during this ride?
I had monkey butt paste, you know, the butt paste. And so if you know how it is with your...
You know, only we can talk about each other's butts and consider that normal, by the way.
Yeah. So, but not sore. It
Not
wasn't,
sore?
my butt wasn't sore. It's just like getting ventilation and just not being, you don't want to chafe,
Right.
you know, if you're sweating,
Yeah.
you know. So
I have a big problem. I can't ride. I ride in the back of a motorcycle, obviously, but I cannot ride for more than an hour or two, and then I get off and my legs. How did your legs? How did those do?
My bestie, she was riding we were test riding a trike, and I really think the passenger has their legs
in an abnormal position.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think it's being on the back.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's the
because I
only
was on the
place I've
back.
been,
I was
really.
back on the. I was on the back of the trike when she was just taking it for a test ride.
And you felt the
Oh yeah, when I got off, I was like, oh my gosh, you're stiff back there. You know, so maybe that's what you were feeling.
And so, what was the hardest challenge for you during this ride?
Let me think. The hardest challenge, I have no idea.
Would you do it again, though?
Well, I still ride long distance, but and people are like, oh, if somebody breaks the record, which somebody already did, would you do it again? Would you go for the I'm not feeling that. Like, I have to feel it, you know? So it's not like somebody breaks the record and then I'm like, oh,
I gotta keep it. I gotta keep my title.
Yeah. So, so when I lost that record and then they switched it over to the female record, and I'm not big on separating the genders when it comes to riding. But that's the category it was in. So there you go. I mean, but the challenges, I don't even know. I mean, it was pretty, I had my friends watching over me. And so if I had a challenge of my spot went off, one of them would see it, to make sure my record, to make sure my ride was being recorded.
Right.
The whole thing was a challenge.
Yes. But it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I had things that I went to, like when I took off, I ended up going to the Taco Run, which is in Medicine Park, Oklahoma. And so I had certain things that I was going to go to during my ride.
Sort of broke it up for you.
The Hoka Motorcycle Challenge was going on while I was riding. So I got to see my friends before and after. And so it was fun to be riding, literally just riding for 4 months.
That is awesome. Thank God there's people like you, because people like me could never do that. And that's why we admire people like you, because that is just mind-blowing and fascinating. And having Scott in my life for all these years has been definitely a blessing. And now doing this challenge together, in essence. I mean, he's the writer, but boy, do we have challenges, in getting all this done.
But he has you have the vision that, hey, I'm going out, I'm going to do this ride.
There's nobody stopping him.
Yeah. So I know that feeling. Yeah. So I it's like hats off to you. Like you're thinking about it. You're mentally you've prepared yourself. Yeah. Since I did, my average was like, we calculated out to like 625 miles a day. Mm-hmm. Yep. So there was a time like Chris's ride.
Right.
I knew that was a big deal.
Yeah.
100,000 miles in 100 days.
Well, I mean, the extra 300-400 miles a day is the killer.
Well, I knew his ride was cool and badass, but it wasn't until I was riding that I go, oh my gosh.
The appreciation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I called him, I don't know if I had gotten service on my bike, and I called him, and I was just getting to like 600 miles or almost 700 miles, whatever it was, but I called him, and it's later in the day.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm about done for the day, and just knowing that you were doing this and you still had 300 miles to go or 400 miles in the day.
Another big ride yet to do.
And he fished, and he did touristy things.
I don't know how he pulled that off.
He hiked.
Yeah.
He went on. I avoided dirt roads. He looked for dirt roads. I mean, I can look at his ride and go, holy crap, that's intense. Yeah. But he was in his frame of mind to do that.
Right, yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
What motivated you to want to do something this challenging?
In 2016, I saw Danielle Lynn. It's Danelle or Danielle. She had the Guinness World Record, and I want to say it was like 46,000 miles. And in 2016, when I saw that, I just got a bike. I had been renting for 2 years, but I bought a bike in September of 16. And I thought that was cool that she did that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. But I couldn't fathom what 46,000 miles would be on my bike. But it wasn't until that was 2016. In 2018, I did the Hoka Motorcycle Challenge. Mm-hmm. And so that's...
And you rolled right into it, didn't you?
Well,
your ride? Or
no, in 2018, I did my first Hoka Motorcycle Challenge, and which is about 10,000 miles. And it's about 10 days, 14 days. I don't know. I did it like in 13 days or whatever. Yep. But by the time I had my heritage in 2 years, I had like 45,000 miles on it. When I saw the 45,000, I thought about that Guinness record, and I went, "Oh my gosh, I have 45,000 miles on my bike."
Yeah.
Granted, it took me 2 years, but I'm like, "Oh." So then I saw that. It like, "Oh, I can do 45,000 miles." Well, in 18, I looked up the record. I just went on Guinness, and she no longer had the record. The record was, I think at that time, it was like 70,000.
Oh, okay.
Because there was somebody from Danielle and the gentleman in India. There was another person, another guy that had the record. I don't know how long he had it, but what's funny is I'm going to give a shout out to my friends, Jesse, Alexander. He knew the guy that actually had that. So he's like, "Can you believe I know 2 of the record holders of that ride?" But anyways, when I saw it at 70 something, I didn't say, "Oh, that's too much." I actually thought I could do that.
I can do it.
Yeah. So that was 18.
Yeah.
So I applied in 19 to do in 20. Couldn't do.
And you did it with a road glide. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You had the heritage, but
Yeah, I traded the heritage in
For the road glide.
Yeah. So, but this is my second road glide.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, my first
is that
one had
like the standard?
Oh, it's a
for-
big touring.
Well,
What
no,
do you
but-
what do you have? Scott?
I have
Yeah,
a road glide
road glide.
limited. Yeah.
Oh,
it's-
okay. I think
it's,
it's
they're
there.
They're the
Yeah.
they cut the wind really good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's a fixed fairing, at least the bike is helping your
Well, that's what we say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody with a street glide, they're like, "No, I like my street glide." It's like, okay.
But that's a 1,100-pound bike, and you're a woman. Like, how do you wrestle that
Well,
puppy?
It's lightweight when you're going.
Right?
The 3 times I fell over, it was trying to park, and of course,
Well, and an interesting thing is I love people that are so macho or whatever, man or woman. "Oh, I've never tipped the bike over," and I go, either you don't ride much or it just hasn't happened yet, because it's going to.
yeah.
Right?
I can tell you the 3 times it did happen. I don't know. I ended up on this dirt road, and I go, "Oh, I better turn around." And when I was trying to turn around, it caught right into a ditch, and I fell over, and I had to walk over to a farm.
To get help to lift it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was 2 guys there, and I said, "Excuse me, I need some help. Follow me." And they're like, and I said, "Listen, just hold it up so I can ride out of this rut."
Yes. Yeah.
And so they helped me lift it up.
Yep.
I got on, and when I took off, I just waved like, "Thank you," because I couldn't stop to say, because I'm like, I got to get out of this dirt.
Did you get Harley Davidson involved in this,
No.
or you did it on your own? Did you have any sponsors that
No.
helped you? Wow.
No. And I was going to have a cause.
A charity or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did it for a because. I mean, it's the way I always thought of it. Also, Chris raised money for Mile Monsters.
Yes.
And he did a lot of he did live footage while he,
Yep.
and I didn't want the stress of doing that, and just having other people. Like, I'm happy that people were rooting for me, but I just didn't want, people are raising money, and I'm happy, whatever it's happening.
Yeah.
I just didn't want that extra pressure. Yeah. For me, it was pressure.
It is pressure.
For Chris,
Scott's got it.
For Chris, it was motivation.
Yeah.
So it's, that's how I did it.
What is the best piece of advice that you think that you can give to Scott in getting him ready for this? Because he's taking off in a couple of weeks.
I'm doing an essay. Oh my gosh. Best piece of advice? Cash is king.
Yeah.
I think if you're setting off on this, you pretty much have this, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like
He's
you've
tested,
read.
he's tested the
Yes,
roads
you've,
already.
you've read. You pretty much. Yeah.
I rode it, the route I'm taking several times, and and again, I've done the distance and the miles several times. It's just psychologically getting ready to do it.
And knowing that you're gonna have a day where you hit a wall.
Oh yes, that
Days
I know.
maybe.
Yeah, no, I know.
So you have to, because you're doing days and a certain amount of miles each day, 1,000.
Yeah.
So that to me is harder.
Yeah.
And so if you don't, so I wasn't so much, I was keeping track of the miles, but at the same time, I knew if I didn't reach 600, 650, I wasn't going, like, I have to give a shout out to Kenneth Andrews. He did the majority of my routing. He, because I was doing Tour of Honor, and he watches the weather. So there were times I'm in a hotel. He calls at like 4 or 5 in the morning. Get out. There's a storm. Yeah.
Oh,
now you got to go.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a storm that, I mean, I had a 3-day tracker so I could see, but it's something that just came up, and he's like, head east, just keep heading east, and then head south, or, but he really was so instrumental in keeping me out of bad weather. But I had to, because I was doing Tour of Honor, in the Northeast, I had to just say, I'm not going to get my miles today, because I had an agenda of doing every Tour of Honor site.
Right.
And so there were days that I only got like 300 or whatever.
Okay.
No.
But that's not you. Like, you're doing something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are, tell us what we're doing on our ride, Scott. Let everybody know what we're doing on our ride in raising awareness.
Yes, what drove the motivation for this? I said I'd observed what you'd done, and I observed what Chris Hopper had done, and I said, very noble, and I'd like to try myself. But seriously, Dana, I needed to be mad enough about something to do it. And I am so opposed to this human trafficking and sexual trafficking of young people. It is the number one worst crime in America. We are number one in the world for human trafficking, and a lot of people don't even know that. And I got really angry about it with my young grandchildren living on our farm. Jacob Wetterling is a famous child that was kidnapped many years ago, about 9 miles from our farm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I said, I now have a cause I am mad enough about to do this. And so it's called the No Boundaries Tour Ride, the fight against human trafficking. And we are partnered with Motivational Missions, and we've also got Quest to Freedom involved with this effort. And we are hoping to take a 120th year anniversary Harley that's a 2023, try to do 120,000 miles in 120 days, and try to raise $1.2 million to fight human trafficking. And I get asked this question, do you think you can do it? I said, well, yeah, I think I can do it. Well, what if you can't? And I go, I think I can. But more importantly, I've got 8 grandchildren between 8 and 14 years of age, and there's not one day on that motorcycle that could be as bad if one of them gets kidnapped, sex trafficked, human trafficked. There's nothing that could be that painful, and that is my motivator. So I believe it's a cause. We have to have more awareness of this scourge on humankind, and I just don't think enough people know that it's such a problem.
You're right. I mean, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. We We are definitely teaming up with a lot of people that are making a difference. Like you were saying, Gloria Martinez and Victor and Dunlop has sponsored our tires, and Saddlemen our seed, and Peterson Harley Davidson and Viking Land Harley Davidson. Yeah. And so what the funds are doing is we are actually taking a tour next month around the loop. The loop that he will be doing a couple of times, and we're going to go there, and
23 times. 5,200 miles, 23 times.
And we're going to be making community stops to law enforcement, to government, to, schools, to whoever is willing to listen to us so that we can let them know. And, we are all professional speakers that were able to deliver this message to these communities and let them know what the dangers are, what to look for, how to prevent it, and how to make yourself not a victim. Right. Which is our priority, is how to make yourself not a victim. So that's what we're doing there.
Yeah, and I, for the longest time, I held off. I started planning my trip, but I couldn't find something I was angry enough about, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought,
it's whatever's
cancer
motivating
research.
you.
Well, there's a lot of cancer out there, but I wasn't that angry about it. My mother is starting to have some dementia and pretty good memory loss. But I couldn't get really angry about Alzheimer's or dementia. And then I saw a movie one time that talked about human trafficking and sex trafficking children and kidnapping babies and selling their organs. And I went, now I'm mad. And so then it came together, and their group, Motivational Missions, Alexa's the CEO and the founder of that particular 501c3, charitable nonprofit. And I decided this is not going to be a Scott GoFundMe effort. This is going to be bigger than that. We're going to make a difference. We're going to...
And not just after the tour, because a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to use the funds after. No. Right away, we're doing this loop. Right away, he's already been doing assemblies, and we've already been getting the word out there, and we've already been trying to unite communities. He was just in Atlanta last night. Raising awareness for the tour and awareness for human trafficking and promoting our things, our posters. These are our posters that we've been getting out there into the community, and it tells you all about that. We have a QR code so communities can scan on the QR code. And one of the most important things that we did, listen to me like I'm taking credit for this. Yeah,
that's all right.
Scott.
Are you pregnant again?
Scott actually wrote this book, and it's not just your average book. Yes, it's telling the story and what we're doing and who we're doing it with and who we're doing it for. But we don't know the outcome. And the outcome is, does he make the 120,000 miles and finish the last chapter of the book? Yes. And that last chapter of the book, Scott, if you could run us through what that's going to look like.
Yeah, well, I did the book with three major portions of it. It has the beginning, tells the story. What is human trafficking, and is it really a problem? And what are the symptoms? If you think you see something, who do you tell? How do you reach out to someone? Which helpline should you call? That's the first chapter, and Victor Williams was very helpful with that. I've got some really good, fun stories about those of us that are crazy enough to ride a lot of long distances on a motorcycle. And again, Dana and I were talking about it. You go into this happy zone. There's a reason the dogs stick their head out of a window, and they're so happy. Well, we are that happy when we ride the motorcycle. Yeah. I mean, you, if you don't understand it, it doesn't make any sense to you. But so there's the motorcycle in us. And then I put a lot of effort into how much organization do you have to do to get motivated to want to do this. I have 3 years of planning into this thing. I mean, I have driven thousands and thousands of miles over and over again, testing the route, figuring out the gas stations, figuring out where the dealers were that were going to change tires at 10 o'clock at night. And you know, my plan is on this ride is to depart every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning and ride for 17 or 18 hours, you know, and end up in a town tonight with a Harley dealer that's ready to change oil and ready to change tires and things. So, because I'm leaving again at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to be very regimented. It's going to be very formal. It's going to be like a NASCAR race. We're going to be changing tires before we have a problem, not after we have a problem. But I'm just I'm very motivated. I've worked on it for 3 years, and it took a lot of time to get to this point. And so I've got those details in that book. Last but not least, there are so many bikers that I know. I want every dollar of that book to go towards the fundraiser. 100% is going to go towards the fundraiser. And it came out on Amazon.com 2 weeks ago, and it instantly became the #1 top-selling best new release.
Oh.
And out of 83,000 Amazon books, it catapulted pretty fast up there as people are going, you know, the title is drawing me in, the bound victim, you know. And again, we know that that's not necessarily the representation of human trafficking. It's much more secretive than that. It's behind closed doors. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a victim that's got their hands tied. But the point is, it makes you think. Makes you hopefully open up that book and start learning about what this terrible problem is. And at the end, I've got lots of different kind of jokes and pictures, because some of my biker friends have never read a book in their life, and they're not going to start now, but they will.
Only your biker friends?
Yeah, no, well, my father never read a book in his life, but he did look at a lot of pictures. Okay, and so I've got the pictures part in that, but the last chapter will be the ride. Okay, It's the ride, and Amazon has agreed to allow me to add the last chapter and change that book one time, no extra expense. And
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll you know, it's a 266-page book right now. I was told that as long as I keep it under 300 pages, they will re-edit and republish the final version. Now, again, I feel kind of bad for people that if they go on Amazon.com, they're going to pay $15 for that book.
Without the last chapter.
Yeah, without the last chapter. Last night, you know, $1,000 went to people that were there last night, and there were people that said, Scott, I didn't even bring any money. I said, take the book. Please take the book. Have it do some good. Pass
awesome.
it around and get it dog-eared. Get it wore out. It's no good sitting on a shelf. It's no good sitting on this table. If you can afford $10, do it. If you can afford $15 like Amazon charges, if you can afford more. There were people that dropped $100 bills and walked away with a book. There were students that said, I don't have any money. I said, take a book. And this is part of the mission.
Get it out there.
To get it out there. We're not going to have awareness of human trafficking if we don't figure out a way to get the word out. And so that's a way.
Yeah.
Now I feel ridiculous doing my ride for me.
No, but let's talk about it for a moment, because you did the Ride of Honor, right?
Yes.
And I didn't know what that was until today. And then given your military background, it makes sense now.
Yes.
And we thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And you know,
Well, the Tour of Honor, which was so nice to do, it's self-guided. It's a ride with 7 memorials in each state.
Right.
Started by the Brooks brothers, but it gave me a route that I could I just looked at the map going, it was like a Pac-Man. I just, go to this site, go to this site. You're more, miles.
Well, it's
Yeah.
more mile regimented.
Yes.
And again, I so respect Chris and what he did. I mean, he saw the United States. I've got a very strict 15-state route that is designed to knock down the miles and raise awareness for human trafficking. And again, the route is along the interstate arteries that they're human trafficking people. I chose the routes that are the arteries that they're doing all this on. And so, I mean, I'll have some beautiful Rocky Mountain passes to ride through, and there'll be some pretty stuff. There'll be some just gosh awful, terrible flatlands of Nebraska and Iowa I'd rather not have to ride through, but I'm gonna.
You know those states are windy.
I know they're windy. Yes, but that road glide will cut. That road glide will cut through.
Yeah, there were times I go, I cannot believe how windy, especially the crosswind. Ooh. And I said, do they sue their neighbor for their topsoil back? Because
it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm like,
they get drifts of
crazy.
Dirt. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But no, that's so honorable that you're, and
you have no idea how much you motivated me. Okay, I hope you know that. And when I called you that one day, I was disappointed we couldn't do this that first time. And I told you then, I'll tell you again. You tremendously motivated me and still do. I respect you tremendously. I am so honored to be in your presence right now. And all I'm asking is say your
ride with me.
Well, and ride with me for a while. But support, call me, talk to me.
When you're on your ride, yes.
Absolutely. You know how that makes a difference.
Yes.
17, 18 hours of white line fever. No matter how much we like riding, there's going to be times that's going to be very difficult. So a dear friend calling and talking the language is going to really make a difference, Dana.
So I will give you a piece of advice. Yes. Because it means so much to us doing this, I mean, I had my reasons for doing it, and I knew I wanted to beat, it was like 72,000 miles. And you, I mean, with this and getting this out and promoting the awareness, I had to remind myself if I wasn't successful with the ride, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I actually thought of Olympians, and I thought
that's exactly how I think of this. This is an Olympic event to the nth degree,
and they get a shot every 4 years. I could not complete it and then start over the following year.
Right.
So I didn't want to set myself up for disappointment because there's times during it, it's like, ooh, a near miss, there was a dead deer in the road. Yeah. There's, there's big deer coming out at you. So there were times I go, oh my gosh, a near miss. But I just said, hey, if for whatever reason I can't, it's going to be okay because I'm doing it now. And
giving it the best you got. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah. Well, we have taken precautions in several different areas, from physical to mental state. Thank you, Dr. Deb. We love Dr. Deb, right? And we're looking at all those things. And one of the reasons I definitely wanted you here is for those pieces of advice. And what you just said is so crucial. And you have no idea how crucial that is. Because of the family situation, we've had to convince him, because he's I'm going to get it no matter what kind of guy. And his life is not worth it. There's too many grandbabies and family, and his wife.
Had the attitude, I will do this even if it kills me. Okay, I'm one of those.
That.
Yes.
And
backspace.
Dr. Deb, as a psychiatrist, has said, get your priorities straight. Yeah. Coming back home is a priority, not dying trying this.
Right, absolutely, and that's not the way you want to raise awareness.
Well, that'd be a real failed attempt at human trafficking awareness, by dying while you're doing it.
Yes.
And she got through to me on that.
Yeah,
I know. That's why we brought her on the team.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And
brought
my
her on the
wife
team.
now is okay. She was very upset. I had a life-threatening motorcycle accident doing a cross-country iron butt ride in 2009. I broke my back in 3 places, broke every rib in my rib cage. I broke most of the bones in my body, and I laid out in a desert for 6 hours before they found me. I was almost dead. I recovered. It took me a year. I got back on the motorcycle, and I promised my wife and my family I'd stop doing long-distance rides. And then I got mad. And then I decided I had a new cause. And my wife said, "You promised you wouldn't do this again." And so we've had some marriage work to get through this, but I had to promise I'd come home no matter what.
Yep.
And so
your body.
Yeah. And so we're pushing him to succeed, but we don't want to push him into the grave either.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so the more people that we have stand behind the cause, the reason that he's doing it, the more encouragement we get. Mm-hmm. We ask people, please join the ride. We're going to have special patches for those people that ride along with him for a certain distance. It'll all get posted on our website. We're going to have a lot more guests, and we're going to try to get a lot more visibility so that more people could know, because that's the whole point in this, is raising awareness.
Yes.
And, a special shout out again to Victor Williams, retired Homeland Security agent that turned myself and my partner, Val, my business partner, Val, onto this. And it became a passion and a purpose for our own living. And when we saw an opportunity that we could actually merge our causes together, it was really special. And of course, I want to do a special shout out to Astrid, Travis, and Trevor. Thank you so much for collaborating with us and getting this done. And also to my most incredible husband, Bert Oliva, who is definitely, one of the reasons that Scott and I actually teamed up to do this. And we have an incredibly blessed life. And now we welcome more blessings and welcome more people to join us in the cause. We are having a launch party on May 24th, 2025, in the late afternoon at Peterson's Harley Davidson, and we welcome all of you to join us. We will have an RSVP.
Some pretty good music from some pretty famous people.
Yeah,
wow.
We have an international performer, songwriter, and producer that's going to write a song specifically for the cause. And I got to hear it just a couple days ago, and I was like, wow, she is on it. Her name is Crystal Sierra, an incredible performer, and she is going to be there. Also, we have DJ Epps that's going to be DJing, who's an international world-famous DJ. And we have a bunch of other people that are joining us for this cause, and we want you to join us. Yes. We want you to join us. And I just really want to give a total hug. Thank you, Dana.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yes. Putting up with my harassment and getting here.
That was fine.
And Scott, you know how I feel about you and always will. And thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying here. My name is Alexa Oliva with Motivational Missions, and we want you to live like a hero in your own life.